Evening, ladies. This is as close as I can get. So a part of my head may cut off as I'm filming, but that's all right. We'll roll with it. And I cannot wait until the day when I just have a studio space and that's all it is. But you know, this is real life. So we find a corner just like you are at home and we make it happen, right? Hey, who just hopped on? Hi. Hey, Tracy. Awesome. So we're going to do 4 sun salutations tonight. All right. So here we go. Have a seat on your mats to begin, or stand if you prefer. Whatever you need to do to elevate your hips. And we'll roll those shoulders up by the ears and down the back. Close your eyes and start to notice your breath. Now just start to notice your belly rise and fall with each inhale and exhale. And maybe even allow that breath to ride up your body like a wave. So you feel it come up and your belly rises, your heart lifts up. You kind of lift up through the top of your head. And as you exhale, your heart melts back into your body, your belly softens. You feel your shoulders relax and your body sink back into the floor. It's really soft and fluid. So we're getting into that colder season, that colder time of year. And this beauty of sun salutations is that it's warming in many, many ways, and that it gets every muscle in the body. So if you need something quick and efficient and effective, here you go. So before we get into the sun salutations, let's start to open up the body a little bit. Right ear to right shoulder, left shoulder slides down and away from the ear. Stay with that soft breath. You can close your eyes for this part if you want. Coming back up to center and over to the other side. And then roll your head from side to side. And if you find any spots that are tighter than others, go ahead and stay right there when you find it. Stay with that soft breath because we're bringing in that stress response. And when that tension relaxes, because you've given yourself permission and tools to relax, then go ahead and start to move again and maybe find another spot. It's amazing how that happens. How when we just bring in that breath and slow things down, calm our bodies down, muscle fibers can respond. It's amazing. Getting lots of action. This is good. Coming back to center and on up. Beautiful. Let's look over one shoulder. Doesn't matter which one. But when we're sitting in cars and doing texting and all this stuff, that neck goes forward. So before you rotate your head, make sure those ears are stacked right on top of the shoulders so we can correct this misalignment. And then look over the shoulders. Stay with that breath and notice if you're clenching your jaw. If you are, just separate your back teeth. Easy enough. Coming back to center and around to the other side. Fabulous. And back to center. So let's warm up the spine and the hamstrings just a little bit before we get into those sun salutations. Coming onto our hands and knees. Thanks for that thumbs up. I can't really see who's there, but thanks for joining. So I've got this nice little glow right behind me. Gotta love that. Hands right under the shoulders, knees right under the hips. Now we start in a neutral alignment, which means we're going to pull the bottom ribs into the body just slightly. That is how we engage the core. It's not sucking that belly button into the spine. So now open up the shoulders. Ears right on top of the shoulders, not here. And as we exhale, press into those hands, round that spine, drop the top of the head and the tailbone. And as we inhale, open the front of the body, lifting the top of the head and the tailbone. Now you can look up. But notice that your head is actually following your full spine. So that's the goal. Now, if it feels really good to spend some time in cat and breathe and let some muscles along your back open up, stay here for a few breaths. If it feels really good in cow, let your lungs expand, let the rib cage open, and let those muscles open up. And let your breath tell you when to move rather than the other way around. So this doesn't have to be a real fast movement. If this bothers your wrists, come on to fists. Lots of things to remind you. Awesome. Let's do one more round. And then find our neutral position. Hands are flat. Go ahead and slide back a little bit. Tuck those toes underneath and lift up in downward dog. So the goal of downward dog is actually a straight or a long spine. It's not straight legs. So soften those knees. Press the heels down. It's really tempting as we lift the hips to come up onto the toes. So press those heels down. Keep those knees bent a little bit and lift that tailbone up. And as you lift that tailbone up, you're actually going to feel your body move back, your torso move back a little bit. Keep those fingers spread nice and wide and drop your head so you're looking right between your feet. Your feet should be about hip width apart. Now, if you want, you can press one heel to the ground and bend the opposite knee and then flip it around at any time. That's up to you. And then sometimes it just feels kind of good to wiggle around on one side and work some things out. So tune into your body and do what you need to do. This is your time. It's playtime in your body and on your mat. It's kind of one of my favorite times. No joke. So let's press both heels to the ground. Lift those hips up toward the ceiling. Slide the shoulders down and away from the ears. Excellent. Let's take some time for the wrists. So come on down onto those knees and let's find child's pose. Open those knees up, sit on back, and let your head drop to the floor. Now, little tip, if you have knee issues, here's your variation. Come onto your back instead. So we're not putting pressure on the knee or the hip joint if you have issues with either one of those. So it's always your responsibility to take care of your body. You know better than I do how it feels. I'm just a guide. That's it. Now, once you're here, let's take care of those wrists, like I said, because we were up on them for downward dog quite a bit and for cat-cow. So roll through them, press one hand into the other. I like to curl my fingers underneath and stretch out through the top of the wrist, but that is up to you. Do what feels good for your hands, your wrists, and your forearms. Let your head drop and notice your breath. Sweet. We're going to kind of work our way up to standing here a little bit. So if you need to watch this first one, go right ahead and then join. So you're not trying to look at me in some weird, like upside down, twisted shape. Or if you're really smart, you'll just set your phone right here at the top of your mat. Just a little tip for you. So We're going to challenge ourselves a little bit. Let's tuck those toes underneath, come back into our downward facing dog. And let's go ahead and find a three-legged dog. So we're just taking that right foot straight up to the ceiling, opening up the hip, and try to keep the hip toward the floor instead of letting it open to the side. Now notice if you squeeze through those glutes a little more and kick up through the heel, you might be able to go a little higher. Now as you do that, try not to lift up on the left toes. Try to keep that heel down. Now when you're ready, go ahead and swing that leg through, finding your high lunge. If your leg gets caught, help it along the way. So we want the knee stacked right on top of the ankle. You're welcome to come up onto your fingertips. You are welcome to lower that back knee down, whatever feels better for your body and allows you to feel more steady. Now this is where we can have some fun. It's up to you if you want to lift on up, or just bring your hands to heart center in any of those options. So those are all variations that you can do for your high lunge. Excellent. Let's lower down. Pressing back in a downward dog, or pressing back into, I'm confused. We're coming up to standing. Step on through. Because I started it in the middle instead of at the very top. So I confused myself. Sorry. Coming into our forward fold, softening the knees. Let your bottom ribs attach to your thighs. So this isn't about straight legs, because this is what happens when people straighten their legs. They end up here, and we're putting pressure on the low back. So bend those knees, sit back, and let your ribs touch your thighs. Drop the head, hands to the floor, on your thighs, or wrapping behind your legs, whatever you want to do there. Notice your breath. Sit back, press evenly into your feet, inhale to rise. Exhale as we sit in chair. So we're coming into not a squat, because in a squat we sit back on the heels. All 10 toes still on the ground, head and chest lifted, hands to the front, overhead, or heart center. Just make sure that when you lift those arms, that tailbone doesn't go back and arc. Keep that tailbone tucked underneath. So the hands may need to come a little more to the front. Inhale to stand. Find our standing mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Dropping the head. That was the top. This is the beginning. So step back with that right foot. Beautiful. Left knee is right on top of the heel. Settling into that. Bend that back knee if you want. Inhale on up to rise at any point if you want. Little tweaks. Stack those shoulders right on top of the hips. Extend through those fingertips just a little more and draw those bottom ribs in. Exhale into your swan dive down. Stepping back into your downward dog. We've been there. Awesome. Here's the part that I didn't used to like, and now I do. So let's inhale and bring our bodies right to center into a plank. So your heart is right between your hands. Notice it's not the nose difference there. Heart right between the hands, full or modified. It's up to you. Here is the trick for chaturanga. Press your hands, keep pushing the floor away, and just bend your elbows. Chest is open, shoulders are down and away from the ears. Then the belly button touches down very last. I usually take my feet out a little wider here. For low cobra, roll those shoulders down the back, heart comes on up. Stay with your breath. I usually do a breath in and out. So lowering back down, pressing back into your downward dog or child's pose into downward dog. Take your time transitioning. So let's take that left leg up to the ceiling for three-legged dog. We've kind of been here. Sweet. Swing it on through. Settling into those hips, knees stacked right on top of the heel, arms up at any time if you want. Or remember, you can always stay down, or you can stay down. Go where you need to. Stepping on through for forward fold. Sitting back. Ribs resting on your heels. Head is dropping, so the neck is releasing. Sitting back into those heels. Standing on up for standing mountain. Sitting back in chair. Inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Picking it up now because you kind of know what's going on. Take that left foot back. Right knee's on top of that right ankle. And as you feel more flexible, start to take that heel, that back heel back a little more and see if you can straighten that leg a little more. Exhaling back down to the ground, pressing back in your downward dog. Take your time to go in between poses because it's really important to make sure you hit the pose rather than shortchanging yourself or not quite getting there. Let your body open up. Breathe. Inhale into full or modified plank. So I showed you the modified variation last time. Here's the full variation. As you're in a plank, open up those collarbones. Open right to left. Bottom ribs pulled into the body. Same thing. Push away from the floor and just bend those elbows. Now, if you want to go into an up dog, flip the feet over first and then press on up. And notice that the thighs are off the floor. They're not here. That's too much pressure in the low back. So push into the hands, open up the shoulders and the chest, and let those legs lift up. So lots of fire in those legs. Flip the feet over and press back in downward dog. Taking that left leg up. Swinging through, finding our lunge. Settling in. Stepping all the way forward for a forward fold. Beautiful. Drop that head, sit back, inhaling up. Exhaling as we sit in chair. Let's go one more time each side. Inhaling up. Exhaling forward fold. And at this point, you know all the variations, so pick your poison on each one. That's a real yogi saying, isn't it? Step back with that right foot. Left knee right on top. Pull those hands back so they're right under your shoulders. Press on back into your downward dog. Notice your breath. Inhale to your full or modified plank. Or switch it up and change out however you need to. Exhale as you lower down for chaturanga. Flipping the feet over and opening up for low cobra or up dog. You choose. Flip those up into downward dog. Right leg goes on up to the ceiling. Hips square toward the floor. Swing that leg on through. Find that lunge. Open up those hips. Extend through that back heel. Now, notice when you're in this pose, use those inner thighs to squeeze together. Squeeze this right knee into your rib cage instead of letting it flop out. Coming on up if you want. Exhaling down, stepping through for your forward fold. Settle in and see if you can sink just a little deeper and let those hips open up, the hips and the low back. Soften those knees. Let the head drop. Press all 10 toes into the floor. Your heels are also touching. And start to push down through your feet. And notice that something happens. Drop your head. Sit back in chair. Press evenly into your feet. Inhale to rise. Exhale as we sit back in chair. Whatever variation you want. Here's our last one. Inhaling up. Exhaling forward fold. Stepping back with the left foot. Right foot meets it. Pushing back in your downward dog. When you're ready, come into your full or modified plank. Now let those elbows brush your ribs as you lower down. All these things to remember. Now remember, you can always do your low cobra if you're not feeling that up dog. You choose where you need to stay right now. Flipping back into your downward dog. Take time to flip those feet over so we're not injuring our feet or our toes. Left foot kicks up in three-legged dog. And see if you can maybe go just a little higher and try to keep those hips square to the mat. I can feel that I'm opening them. Swing that leg on through when you're ready. Exhale. Step on through for your forward fold. Let that head drop and that low back open up. Pressing evenly into those feet. Inhale to rise. Exhale, sitting in chair. And come into your standing mountain. There we go. Those are sun salutations. Let's take it down to the floor and let that heart rate come down a little bit. So lie face up. Because I don't know about you, but my cardio got up in that one for sure. So that is called a vinyasa style of yoga, but I slow it way down. It's a flow. So go ahead and lengthen that left knee or keep it bent. Pull that right knee into the chest. And gentlemen, you can see that it's a challenge. Like, talk about athleticism. There you go, because that's full body control and awareness all the time. So it makes you shut this thing off so you can tune in to this. Pretty cool stuff. Let's take that right leg up toward the ceiling. You can either hold the back of the leg at the hamstring or the calf. Soften that knee as much as you need to. If you want to use a strap or a towel, if you have one handy, you can wrap it around that right foot. And if you want to do hand to big toe, those of you who have that flexibility, there you go. So let's just cross that right foot on top of the left, coming into a figure four. Reach through the left leg and grab the back of that, grab the hamstrings. Man, I'm tripping over my words. It's the end of the day. So if you want to go a little more, if you want to get a little deeper into those glutes, flex that right foot. And if you want to go a little deeper yet, press that right elbow into the right thigh. So if you need a little recharge in the middle of the day, the middle of the work day, let's go ahead and switch it around. The left knee comes into the chest, drop down and give yourself a couple sun salutations. That will give you a little more energy. Let's take that left leg up to the air whenever you're ready. Hold the hamstrings or the calves. Please avoid the knees so you're not putting any pressure on that joint. And I can see more people joining on. Sorry, we're about at the end, or lucky you, because we're about at the end, whichever way you want to look at it. You can go back and do the hard work here in a little bit. Now, if you want a little more, you can get a little strength out of this too. And the way you do that is you press the foot that's on the floor straight down into the floor. The leg that's in the air, contract those thighs. You'll notice that this leg lengthens out a little more when you do that. And honestly, this is the kind of stuff I do. I really don't lift. I'll just say it. I really don't. So let's cross that right or that left foot on top of the right thigh. Pull the right knee into the chest, flex through that left foot, and press that left elbow into the left thigh whenever you're ready. And we're not doing anything super crazy. Things that challenge us, but we're not doing anything super, super crazy in any of this. I just don't, my personal philosophy on yoga is that it's becoming a show rather than this is yoga right here. And so I really focus on alignment, and I really focus on slowing it down so that we get that proper alignment. And it's not really about like pulling your legs up over your head. So that's kind of fun, but
not what we need to do as a group. Let's take both feet down on the floor. Spread those toes nice and wide. Roll those shoulders back and drop them down, hands at the sides, and when you're ready, lift those hips so that we can go into a shoulder bridge. So we're opening up the front of the body. You choose what you need. If you want to focus on some core strength right now, kind of like a plank, but opposite, pull the ribs into the body and make your body a straight line from those shoulders to the knees. Think about the knees going away from your body. And think about those inner thighs coming in like you're trying to squeeze a balloon between the knees. Weight is through the shoulders. Now, if you want to open the front of the body, some flexibility through the front of the body, keep lifting those hips up and roll a little more on the tops of your shoulders. Now, if it's possible, you can clasp those hands underneath your body or even walk your feet to your hands. So we're going into kind of a half of a wheel or an upside down bow. So those are kind of fun. Depends on what you need. As you exhale, drop those hips down slowly, pull the knees back into the chest. And you can either circle the knees or rock side to side if that feels best for your low back and hips right now. If not, just hold still and let the tailbone drop down to the floor. And when you're ready, find your position for stillness. So you can bend those knees. You can lengthen the legs if that feels better for you. Some people like to go into kind of a starfish shape. Some people like hands at their sides or resting on their bellies. You can even take your feet up onto some furniture to elevate the legs a little bit for like a legs up the wall kind of pose. You choose what's going to be most relaxing. And then close your eyes and start to invite relaxation into your body. And just like we started, let that breath be like a wave. So as you inhale, you feel that rise through the belly and then the chest and then up through the top of the head. And as you exhale, you feel that go down. So your head sinks back down into the mat. Your heart melts back into your body and your belly softens. And that wave kind of continues down your legs as you sink into your mat or the floor. And notice the muscles on your face and your jaw. Let your jaw relax. Let the muscles on your face relax. Notice the softness in your fingers. So your fingers are going to curl a little bit. And notice when you're relaxed that your feet actually turn out a little bit. Now, as you take that air into your body, notice if it hits the back of your throat. If not, allow your throat to open so you can get more oxygen into your body. And just notice how it feels to let yourself relax. I posted earlier that relaxation is a skill. And we just don't give ourselves permission. We've forgotten how to relax. So here's your opportunity to practice. You're welcome to stay with this for as long as you need to. Just stay with your breath
And let yourself feel what it feels like to relax. Whenever you're ready, you can start to wiggle those fingers and toes and let yourself come up to a seated position. Take all the time you need to. Take care of any body parts that you need to, because time on the mat is your sacred time to take care of this temple that you get to live in, or this living laboratory that you get to experience life in. It's kind of fun. So if you enjoyed this, I have a 30 days of yoga that you can subscribe to, or it's just a digital product. So it's one 30-ish minute session in your inbox, right to your email every day for 30 days. It's $17, and I will put that link in the comments below so that you can sign up and get going as early as tomorrow. Actually, you'd get it tonight, but you'd get day one tonight. But you could start tomorrow if you wanted. If you have any questions about that, just send me a message. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I've also got some meditations that I've recorded, so if you need more of that, holla, I can hook you up. Have a great rest of your night, a great start to the week. Namaste, my friends. Happy Monday.